Welcome to another All About Symbian video review. This time we're looking at Nokia's E55 handset. The E55 is Nokia's latest E-series handset. It's notable for its half-QWERTY keyboard, as shown here, which we'll look at in more detail later. Going around the device you can see that it's very thin, just 9.9mm and an overall volume of 54 cc's. This makes it one of Nokia's smallest ever smartphones. As you can see here, the back cover is made of aluminium that's been patterned. There's also a 3.2 megapixel camera using an EDOF lens, of which more later. The top has the usual power button and a 3.5mm audio jack, impressive in a device this thin. On the other side there's the camera capture button and the volume keys, as well as the voice control key. On the bottom left there's the micro USB port, which is used for PC connectivity and charging. The E55 is a remarkable piece of industrial design. Nowhere is this more apparent than taking the battery cover off, revealing a huge 1500 mAh battery, with the rest of the hardware somehow fitted into the remaining space. The E55 has a sister device, the E52, which is virtually identical with the exception of the keyboard. It has the traditional 12-key style instead of the half-QWERTY keyboard. Also notable are the different colours. This is thanks to the aluminium material used, which can be anodised into different colours, a contrast to earlier E-series devices. Comparing the E55 to the E51, you'll find that the E51 is slightly bigger, 61 cc's in volume and 12mm thick. It's also importantly got a smaller screen, 2 inches versus 2.4 inches, which makes a big difference when looking at text and information on the screen. Of course, the E55 has other advantages, including its GPS and more recent hardware platform. It's also interesting to make a comparison with the E75, which takes a completely different approach to the QWERTY problem. The slide mechanism means the E75 has a significantly bigger keyboard, better for those with large hands, but the sacrifice is you have a device 14.4mm thick, 50% more than the E55. There's a few other hardware differences, notably a compass, but really this is about a choice between the two form factors of QWERTY keyboard. You can make a similar comparison with the E71, which has a similar thickness but is of course much wider. The E71 software is a bit out of date compared to the E55, but it will soon be replaced by the E72, which would be a fairer comparison. At the end of the day, it will really be about a choice between how big you want your device to be and what sort of QWERTY keyboard you'll prefer. So let's take a closer look at the E55's keyboard, but just as crucial is the design of the keyboard and the individual keys themselves. As you can see, the individual keys are angled or sloped from the bottom to the top. Each row is higher than the one beneath it. This separates the rows, and the overall effect is to improve the accuracy of the keyboard. Of course, in a half-QWERTY keyboard, it's the software that's important. In predictive mode on the E55, you hit each key once and the predictive software works out what letter you intended to type. As you can see, you really need to type the full word to get the full predictive effect. Accuracy is impressive and the system learns as you go. You can use the keyboard in multi-tap mode too, but of course this is slower. The text input settings are impressively comprehensive and include secondary language support and auto word completion. There's also an on-device keyboard tutorial to get you started. Speaking of tutorials, when you first set up the device, the phone wizard starts. This allows you to do basic setup and customization of the device. It's much friendlier than having to go into the full control panel, which is increasingly complex due to the number of settings available. Part of this wizard is the email setup process, which can also be accessed from the home page. It's worth running through this as the E55 is a messaging focused device. In many cases, all you'll need to enter is your email address and password. The rest of the setup procedure will be done for you. Standard POP and iMount accounts use Nokia Messaging, which adds push email to any consumer email account. It's also possible to set up a Microsoft Exchange account using Nokia's Mail for Exchange software, which is also integrated into the email setup wizard. Both account types use the new Nokia Messaging style email client. As well as making much better use of screen space and having a more usable interface, a particular highlight is the ability to customize the view, for example to show emails over 1 or 2 lines and to show a preview as you scroll through an email list. It has much improved attachment support, as shown here. Also notable is support for HTML formatted email. This takes advantage of the WebKit-based Web Control API, and so formatting is generally excellent. The email client also supports multiple accounts. It's easy to switch between these using the menu at the top of the screen. Similarly, there's support for folders, particularly important for users of Microsoft Exchange who apply filters to their email as they arrive on the server. Overall then, the E55, as with the E75, offers a much improved email experience, which leaves Nokia in a much better position to compete in the business market. Staying with business software is Quickoffice. You get the full edit version with the E55, which allows you to create Word, Excel and PowerPoint documents on the move. The E55 ships with Quickoffice version 5, but a free upgrade to version 6 is available, which includes support for Office 2007. As an E-Series device, the E55 has the usual E-Series enhancements, including the smart dialer on the home screen, allowing you quick access to communication options. There's also the tweaked version of the contacts application, familiar from the Nokia E71 and the Nokia E66. Similarly, there's the calendar application with its multiple views, enhanced over the usual S60 offering. Then there's the unified messaging application, which includes shortcuts into the new email client. The search utility application enables you to search for content both on your device and on the internet. The comprehensive Office software bundle continues with a few third parties, including Font Magnifier, which allows you to increase the size of the fonts displayed on screen, ideal for those with poor eyesight. Also bundled are a dictionary application and Siloc's Y Presenter and World Travel application. Elsewhere on the device is Nokia Maps 3.0 with its support for 3D landmarks, 3D maps and 3 different map types. Included with the E55 are a 10-day car navigation trial as well as a lifetime pedestrian navigation license. The GPS on the E55 includes a compass, and the map will automatically rotate, ensuring that you're always pointing in the right direction. Thus far I've concentrated on the enterprise and business applications of the E55, but it is also a capable multimedia device in terms of both hardware and software. All the standard software is present, including music players shown here, but there's also a number of extras. A good example is the voice control music app, Cry Cry Cry, as demoed here, which allows you to voice control which music tracks you'd like to play back. Previously, this was only enabled on Express Music devices. There's also the Nokia Music Store, available in supported countries, which lets you browse, listen to and download music on the move. Audio playback quality is improved over previous E-Series device. It is comparable with the music-focused Express Music devices and uses similar chipsets. The Gallery application embeds the Nokia Photos application for handling images and video. Not only does this have better performance than the plain Gallery application, it also connects in better with the rest of the phone, including better support for sharing and sending images, for example via Nokia Share Online for uploading to Flickr and other photo destinations. The E55's camera does not have autofocus, but nor is it fixed focus. Instead, it uses a technology called EDOF, Extended Depth of Field, which does most of the processing in software and produces reasonable results. The camera application will be familiar to Nokia users, but a first for the E-Series is the inclusion of the Panorama software as a result of Nokia's acquisition of BitSide. Another first for the E-Series is the inclusion of the home media software. This turns the E55 into a UPnP-enabled device, able to access media on other devices such as the Xbox and PlayStation 3. You can also share the media that's on the device with other UPnP-enabled devices. The usefulness of this is really dependent on the other UPnP devices in your household. Rounding out the multimedia software is Video Center, which allows you to download and watch videos on the phone. A big thank you to the cat for agreeing to be in this demo video. As usual, Real Player is used for the actual video playback, and it has comprehensive format support including H.264. For web browsing, the E55 has the familiar web application. However, it is important to note that this is version 7.1 of the browser, which is a very significant upgrade from the previous version as found on the earlier E-Series devices. It's up to 2 or even 3 times as quick depending on the website you're visiting. It retains all the features of the previous version, including flash support as showcased here on the YouTube website, and adds a number of features of its own, the most important of which is an updated version of WebKit. The final software item that we'll mention in this review is the support for the Nokia N-Gage gaming platform, as shown here with the Crash Bandicoot driving game and the platform game Bounce. So, concluding thoughts on the E55? The hardware is very impressive, both in terms of its functionality, but also in terms of the industrial design and choice of materials. Similarly, the functionality, stability and maturity of the Symbian S60 3.2 platform really stand out. For non-touchscreen smartphones, they really are best in class. Moreover, the E55 is a very good value device. At £250, it's roughly half the price of devices from the high end which have very similar functionality. For many then, the question will come down to whether they can get used to the half-QWERTY keyboard, and that's really a personal decision. As such, I'd expect the sister device, the E52, to do better, but for savvy users, the E55 is well worth considering.